seriously now do we take American regulation?
Well, I think it makes a big difference who ends up winning the election. But for sure, regulation is something that's needed in the space. So I think from three perspectives, privacy, safety, and competition are all three elements that need to be addressed, because basic questions about, who's responsible for editorial, for the content, third-party content on platforms, who's responsible for the safety of offering, and competition in the end, which brings the consumer a better product and a better offering, are all aspects that need to be addressed. So I don't think we should be afraid of regulation here. Things like GDPR or the California Computer Privacy Act, those are first steps in the direction of trying to deal with data privacy, but the other two issues haven't really been addressed yet so far at all.
Dan, the House Judiciary Committee has released its conclusions, and just running through some of them, they point out there's an alarming pattern of business practices that degrade competition and stifle innovation. They talk about taking the necessary steps, also urging Congress to consider passing commercial non-discrimination rules. Basically, large companies would have to offer equal terms to companies selling products and services on their platforms. This is groundbreaking if it's passed, isn't it, for some of those major names that we continue to watch, the big FANG stocks?
Absolutely. So we do understand that there's going to be a bit of a tech regulation shock if we see a Biden sweep, because the expectation is that they're going to take a much more hands-on approach here. But longer term, we really don't think that there's anything to fear here, because longer term, if you take a look at what happened around the AT&T breakup, you can see that in the end, consumer welfare was better serviced by breaking up. And we're not just talking about, breaking up from 3 into 10, because whether you have an oligopoly of 3 or 10 isn't going to make much of a difference. I think some fundamental things need to be addressed, like what you just said. Can a operator of a platform also participate as a user in a platform? That inherently means that, basic tenets of competition law are being challenged. So things like this need to be addressed. But again, I also think it's not just competition, it's also safety. If you think about the pharma industry and how we've become used to it being heavily regulated and investigated for safety of its products, it should be the same for the tech industry. I mean, at the end of the day, a cancer drug is something that needs to be tested before it's released on consumers. At the same time, you could say artificial intelligence software, which a police department uses, and then it turns out that artificial intelligence software has gender bias and race bias. Who's liable for the damage that's caused by this technology that still hasn't been properly tested? So these are all things that need to be addressed. And I don't, as investors, I don't think we need to be nervous about it, because adding regulation here is something that's going to increase competition and hopefully create more of an equal playing field.